It's like some trailer inception going on here. We got a trailer on a trailer. Okay, so if you're wondering why there is a trailer on top of a trailer, it's because this trailer belongs to Corey, and he's in California. This trailer belongs to me. I'm taking Corey, his trailer, home, and I'm using this to haul something back on top of there. It's gonna go on there to be strapped around there and probably, yeah, all that good stuff. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for stopping by and spending a little bit of time with us today. Getting a couple last things ready for the trip to California, and we got a box from Holley in, so we're going to open those up, check it out, and see what's going on in there. So yeah, we'll be heading out to California. That video will be dropping probably next Wednesday when we unveil the new project. Make sure you come back. I'm really excited to share this with you guys. I think it's going to be something really fun, really cool. We're going to learn just a ton of stuff, and hopefully at the end of the day, it's going to be something pretty rad. All right, let's take a look and see what Holley sent us. All right, so this is what we have. This is our new electric water pump. This is from Holley. This is their Frostbite water pump, and this is the high performance one they make for their big blocks. It flows at 50 gallons per minute. The only problem with this is, like I said, this is for a big block, and then we needed these adapters for this to bolt on to an LS engine. So we gotta play around with that and figure out how all that works, because honestly, I don't know. So this is interesting. I'm not sure how this all goes together, but we will figure it out together. Also, we got these. This is an oil pressure sensor unit for Holley, and this is a fuel pressure unit for Holley, which conveniently, they are the same part. And on a note with that, I don't know if you guys remember, but when we were on the dyno at PFI with Oso, when we lost the engine, one thing that came up is that the reading on the computer for the oil pressure was only 3 psi. So we found out why that was. It actually wasn't an engine issue. If you're using the factory LS oil pressure sensor, you have to program it in the Holley. We didn't know that. So when we talked to Holley, we found out that it was programmed for the Holley sensors that Holley sells. Now you can use the ones from the OEM ones, but these are better. More expensive, so hopefully they read a lot better, but from what we're told, these are a very precise unit, and that's what you want. So we're going to make sure that the car has the best sensors on it so that we're getting the most accurate readings. So if there is a problem, we can find out soon enough on it versus having an issue. So that is why the computer was reading 3 psi. It was something we didn't know, and we learned, and hopefully now you know. So if you do a Holley swap on your LS, if you use the factory sensor, you have to set it up in there. So that's what we got going on in these boxes. These boxes are the exact same thing. This is for my car, Medusa, and same stuff for Oso. It'll simplify a few things with the routing, the plumbing, and it's going to free up even more power that I'm told. Don't quote me on this, but I'm told LS engines, your water pump on average is about 20 horsepower. Is that right, Joe?
I have no idea.
Here I was. I thought Joe knew everything. Guess not. But the other thing that's really cool, trophy trucks have been running these, and apparently one of the things, so I say trophy trucks, they've been working great for the Go Fast stuff. But one thing that's really cool is because these are constantly flowing, when we get in the rocks and everything slows down, your engine RPMs are lower, you're still going to be flowing a lot of fluid. So it's constantly cycling at the same rate, always cycling fluid over and over. So it should help with cooling even better than what we have now. There it is. That's pretty. This is the MSD Atomic Airforce. And in test, it's a really good intake. Really good intake. You can kind of see in there. It's kind of hard to tell, but there is where it goes in the port. All the way over there is the end of the runner. So with this being a supercharged engine, not only does this intake flow really well, but the longer runners are going to drop the power level down further in the torque curve. So longer runners will produce power earlier in the RPMs versus shorter runners, which are going to produce power higher in the power band. So with rock crawling and everything we do, it'll help push that power down a little bit, while at the top, it's going to allow the supercharger to push all that air through there and going to be a really good intake. I don't know how this water pump goes on, so I got to figure it out. And rather than crawling into the engine bay of darkness back there, it's kind of difficult to get in there. We're going to use the bouncer. So we have access to everything we need right here for now, and I can kind of get an idea how all these parts go together. All right, I made a mistake. So I've been trying to figure out on this pump, these adapters here, and then the pump bolts to there. So you have your gasket here, which it's interesting. You can't actually put these adapters on without the gaskets, because the way it sits, your timing cover gasket actually hits this adapter. So if you don't have this gasket on, you can't put this on. It won't actually sit up against it, which I guess in hindsight, why would you have that without the gasket? But anyways, I was trying to figure out on this surface here, how does that seal? Is it RTV? And I looked back in the kit and I found these. Guess that makes sense. It's a gasket. So I'm gonna pull the water pump back off, put these on. So I guess always make sure you look throughout the entire box. They may actually send you all the parts you need. I'm talking with Joe, double checking the plumbing on this, and typically your water pump is all this assembly here. And so you have one out, and then you have normally your thermostat in. In this case, there's no thermostat. It's just a constant flow. So what I'm trying to figure out, and I asked Mr. Joe over here if he could lend his expertise, is on this water pump, what are we thinking here? So from the looks of it, I think that we're going to end up with two adapters. These look like O-ring bias. They look very similar to the oil pan.
Bleeder right there.
A bleeder?
Yeah.
Is there a hole?
Unless it's a temp sensor.
That could be. Temp sensor or possibly vent tube. We should probably... Yeah, there's one on that one. We should probably make sure that that's plugged on that side before we ever put water in it. Oh man, that would stink. So my question is, would we just come off this and then just tee into the output to the radiator?
Which it could.
So down here, there's no AN fitting on this guy, so you think we just
hose clamp?
Weld the dash 16 on there? Dash 20, something like that?
Yeah, whatever that is.
Just weld that so then the hose goes there. Which the nice thing is, if that's the case, then your hoses go up right there and up right there, so it kind of tucks them up out of the way. Or if you really get fancy, we could get a U piece of tube and I could loop it up and have it pop out right here. So then you have your input and your outputs all right here, so then it could just flow underneath the intake for the intake that we're using.
That'd be nice and clean.
Do you think that's correct?
Be nice and clean.
I'm not sure. I've already determined that I like how small it is. We are going to have to put it in the race car and double check belt routing, but as a whole, it's pretty straightforward. Standard gasket back here, regular, it has a gasket, a felt gasket. It's probably just a standard big block gasket for the water pump that you can get at parts stores, I would guess. So then all we have to do is make sure this is sealed, and fitting and routing for that, and routing for these guys, and that should do it. So now that we know how it's going together, we'll figure out these fittings and everything else, and then once we get this welded and these guys, we'll put it in there. All right, Joe, you called me over here. What are we doing?
We're gonna finish cleaning it up tonight, give it one last coat, and get it ready for the wrap. So we did decide to make one change to the original plan.
What's that?
Well, Daniel wants to wrap the hood with carbon fiber, and I'm not opposed to it. So it's already on order.
Well, my question is, if we're wrapping all this back here, we don't care about a second coat on all this, because we just want to make sure it's clean and wrapped, pretty much doors and top. The only thing I would say that we focus on is just clean up the hood, fenders. Did you decide? Did you decide? Do you want to go shiny, or do you want to go dull?
We're just gonna go with the paint.
So no wet sand. Okay.
No, we're gonna wet sand all the rough.
No, I mean like after the paint's done, you don't want the
No.
flat look versus the shiny.
No, I'm gonna go with the shiny.
Okay.
I think it'll look good.
Oh.
Implement the wrap look.
Well, I guess we better get some water, some sandpaper. Well, so we wet sanded the. Forgot what I was saying. Well, we wet sanded the car. We actually had already wet sanded the front fender, and we kind of showed you the flat area before. People recommended we don't. So, what we're doing now, let me just show you here. We did turn off some of our lights to help with bugs in here. So everything's been wet sanded. We started with 800, went down to 2000, and it's still got a little bit of sheen. It's interesting on the paint. So the main areas that we're focusing on a good coat are the doors, the fenders, and we are going to do the hood, even though we are going to wrap it in carbon fiber. So we're going to get back to spraying, and we took some advice. Someone had brought up that this paint was probably too thick, and that's why we struggled in some of the areas with spraying it. So we upped our acetone thinning. What do we go up to? Added 10% acetone? Mm-hmm. So we were at 10%, so now we're 20%. So we're going to give that a shot, see how it does, and well, let's see the results. Let's get spraying. Hey Joe, do you like the new color for the race car?
My race car or your race car?
Yours. Okay, so we have been just kind of fighting with this paint a little bit, and one of the things that we haven't really liked is how this thing sprays. It just didn't, at least me. You know, I know Joe's happy with the paint job, but I'm trying to learn from this, and I want to be able to do better. So last year, that car there, as you remember, there was a bunch of purple in that car, and Corey got rid of it. He's not a purple guy. So I had a bunch of that paint left. So I thought, we're painting, I want to test some stuff. So what I did is I took our other gun and did some of that, little bit of that paint. And as you saw me, I was spraying this panel right here. So with the same settings and unprepared panel, nothing special, holy cow, this was night and day difference. Look at that. That just laid out glass. I mean, there's some crap on there from unprepped metal, but past that, I mean, this, I'm trying to get right in there. Look at that. I can see Joe walking up through the panel. I mean, that's glassy. Wow. So that tells me that part of our struggles may have been this paint. Maybe next time, I don't know. Maybe it would have been better just to go ahead, get a single stage. I don't know, but it is what it is. Again, most of the cars getting wrapped, so it's not terrible. And the plus side is, we now have a purple air compressor. Oh my word! I had some paint left over, so this is one of our extra compressors that we're getting rid of, or we pulled out, and we're going to use it as an extra air storage with that compressor. But went ahead and just laid it on here, and like I said, that's just night and day difference. I mean, everything laid out nice. I actually, at first when I was spraying it, that thing had so much paint coming out of it that it just had, no, that was too much, but that was just wild how much of a difference that is. So after spraying some real automotive paint, I'm not feeling like, personally, I don't know, I feel like we could have done better on this, and I know Joe's not worried about it, but I just want to do better. So after spraying some real automotive paint, I actually feel like there's hope for being able to paint things. Yeah, so my opinion. The bright side is, now that this is starting to dry out, I mean, there's a little bit of orange peel in there. Once it's dry, we'll buff it. And like I said, we did cut it a little thinner. But the wet sand, it definitely helped a lot. It's a lot smoother. It's a lot flatter. And it's not too terrible.
Okay, so one of the things that I was commenting on about this paint to Daniel is that, first of all, this is made for a tractor. So, yeah, it may have laid out not quite the way we wanted on a car. There's some variations in the color, and there's definitely a little bit of orange peel, but it's for a tractor, right? However, on the durability of it, I'm going to say that it's significantly better, only because an equivalent amount of this automotive paint and an equivalent amount of this industrial paint, I think the industrial paint is going to hold up a lot better. So it depends on what you're trying to do. I'm building a low budget race car that's going to get beat up on a rally track, so I wanted the durable paint more than I wanted the fine finish, you know. But a car that you're going to be daily driving, you're going to want that better quality finish. So take it for what it is.
Ultimately, I don't disagree with Joe, but I always want to be improving. I want to understand where our challenges were and why, because I want to do more in the future. Again, this was our first time even, we had spray guns, but it was always other people that did stuff for us, and it was always other people, it just wasn't us, so we wanted to do it ourselves. Yeah. Anyway, Joe pulling off some of his tape. That is the final paint job this thing will get. Joe doesn't want to paint anymore. Now we got windows again. You know what blows me away though?
What's that?
Is while I may not be happy personally, which I know you're not worried about it, I just want to improve stuff, it still looks a million times better than where it came from.
Well, for starters, it's one solid.
Yes. All right, well, we got to roll out. Thanks for stopping by. We always like sharing a little bit of time with you during the day and just kind of showing you what we got going here. And hopefully you find some of this entertaining and maybe you learn something. I know we're learning, and there's a lot of areas that kind of figuring stuff out. So follow-ups, the electric water pump, we'll get the fittings for that. I actually have to finish up some stuff and get on the road to California. So excited about that. I'm having to be careful because I want to tell you all. I know you're gonna love it. I know you're gonna love it. Anyways, all right, I gotta roll out. If you liked the video, make sure you give us a like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll catch you next time. Joe, air fist bump for you, buddy.
Air fist bump!
Woo! Fist bump for you guys.